Hi, my name's Jake. I'm a welding engineer, and I just got home from work, and I would like to share with you a little something I've been learning about lean manufacturing. Lean manufacturing is the idea that you eliminate waste in a process to make it more efficient. When I first learned about lean, I was at Weber State University, and I took a lean manufacturing course. And I was really excited about lean because the idea of doing more with less was really intriguing, and I wanted to learn how so I could be a better engineer. The interesting thing about the class was that there was so much information and it was so complex that it made it really hard for me to know where to start. And I went to work. I was an intern at a machine shop for a while, and I worked in the sheet metal area. And I was trying to implement this lean manufacturing that I was so excited about, and I was having very little success. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know what to do. There was so much information coming at me about just-in-time manufacturing and Kaizen events and all these different lean terminologies that were in a different language. They were in Japanese because that's kind of where this originated, and it was really confusing and hard to deal with. So we ended up a little bit later reading a book by Paul Akers about lean manufacturing, and what he does is he takes and breaks it down into little baby steps. It really helps you get the ball going. So I wanted to share some of his ideas and the ideas that I've been formulating after I read his book about lean manufacturing, more specifically continuous improvement. So I'd like to start out by asking you a couple of questions. Have you ever had a problem that's so big and that was so annoying that you just had to do it right then and there? You had to take care of it, otherwise it was going to bug you, or it was a really big deal and you needed to take care of it. I know I have, and I know you have. And I'll just share an example. Recently, a leaf spring flipped up off the road. Somebody left it in the road for me, and it flipped up under my tire and hit the gas tank. Now, luckily, I had 2 gas tanks in my truck, so I've been able to get back and forth from work while I've been working on getting this front tank replaced. But it was a big problem, and it was annoying, and I wanted to fix it as soon as I had the resources to fix it because I had to fill up twice as often because I had half the fuel capacity, and it was really annoying, and I hated it. So these big problems we really tend to take care of, I think. But on the flip side, I want to ask you, if you've ever had a problem that was really small and it was just a minor annoyance and you didn't really do anything about it because that's the way it's always been, so you're just going to deal with it, or it didn't really seem like there was a benefit in taking the time to get rid of this problem. I think that's a lot more common. And I know that in my life there's a lot more of those problems, and I didn't even view them as problems until I started to learn about continuous improvement. And Paul emphasizes this in his book. He talks about continuous improvement and basically organizing your stuff and cleaning it, getting it clean and organized. That is the foundation that lean manufacturing is built on. And you can see some tremendous benefits from continuous improvement alone. So the idea of continuous improvement is just what it sounds. You try to improve your processes every day. Never stops. It's a continually evolving process that makes things better. It makes things easier. So it makes a lot of sense if you think about it in that way. Why wouldn't you want to improve things and make them easier? You do it all the time, I'm sure, already. But what lean allows you to do is it gives you a different outlook on life by telling you about the waste that you should look out for. And there's 7 deadly wastes that lean manufacturing talks about. There's movement, there's overproduction, rework, transportation, all these different things that are kind of hard to explain in the limited time that I'm going to put into this video. But you start looking at things differently. And the simplest one I found is movement. So any time that you would imagine looking for things that you need, one example I like to think about is when I'm getting packed to go on a trip somewhere, I spend the vast majority of my time looking for the items that I need to take with me. It takes me far longer to remember where things are and locate them than it does to actually put them in my bag so I can get going on my trip. So those are the types of inefficiencies that you start to notice if you're thinking in a continuous improvement light. So you want to eliminate this wasted motion, and try and get into value-added time of having your bag packed so you can leave on your trip. So if you start looking at things like that, you'll realize that there's a lot of waste in your life. I didn't look at things like this as a problem, it was just the way things were. My stuff was always kind of a little bit scattered about, so it took me a while to figure out where it was and get it all packed up. But if you think about it from a continuous improvement standpoint and you're trying to implement lean, then what you do is you organize everything so that everything has a home and you always know where it is. And that way, when you go to look for it, it reduces all that wasted time looking for things because you already know where it is because it's perfectly organized, everything has a home, and it makes it a lot easier. And it doesn't bug you as much if you need a pack, especially if you're under a time constraint. So it's that line of thinking that he's trying to convey to you. And that's the baby steps to get you into this process. And that's something that I think is really important because if you don't know where to start, you can't make the journey. And the important thing that I really realized is that there's no magic get-rich-quick scheme. There's no weight loss pill that magically makes you skinny. There's no spell that transforms you into the best manufacturer or the best engineer or teacher or whatever your occupation is. It all takes time and dedication. You have to be dedicated, you have to know exactly what it is you're going after, and you have to form habits like this. And if you get in the habit of continuous improvement, it can really save you a lot of time. Another thing I wanted to share with you that is an idea that Paul helped convey to me through his book is what I like to call lean math. And that is, you take the time that you save for making an improvement and you extrapolate that over a longer period of time. So for instance, if you implement an improvement that saves you 5 minutes every time you do something, and you do that something every day, then over the course of a year, it saves you somewhere around 30 to 40 hours, I think. And over the course of a lifetime, that ends up being a really significant number from not saving that much time. So even if you have a small improvement, and that's why his book is called 2-Second Lean, is because he asks all his people for 2 seconds of improvement every day. But even if your improvement is that tiny, they start to add up. And over the course of a year, if you improve 2 seconds out of a process every single day, and you're going to continue to do that process over the course of a lifetime, it ends up being extremely significant. And I've never really thought of things that way. It was more like, well, that's just a little tiny thing. It's only going to save me a couple seconds if I fix it. It's not big enough. I got bigger fish to fry. I got better things to do. But that's the change in mindset that it's going to take to be able to make the switch to lean manufacturing or even just continuous improvement and getting things organized and making things better. And another thing is that once you've made your improvements, you can share them with other people, and they can give you more ideas, hopefully, because they'll start making improvements in their life, and it's kind of contagious, and it ends up being really fun. It ends up, because people like to solve problems. That's one of the reasons I'm an engineer. I mean, that's what I do. I fix problems every day, but I've never really looked at it from a personal standpoint and said, what if I started looking at things that bug me just a little bit and start noticing them and say, well, instead of letting that bug me or complaining about it constantly and wasting more time, what would happen if I actually did something about it? So that's the thought that I would like to leave you with from this video. And I would encourage you to look at Paul Akers' videos. He's got a bunch on YouTube that he uploads from his company, FastCap, and he has a lot of good ideas that he implements in his company and at his house that he can show you that you might be able to start implementing in your life, as I have been trying to, and hopefully make your life a little bit easier and a lot more fun.